I was interested in a solution for national collections in our diocese, basically because it was prompted by a document put out by the bishops of the United States. The document was One Church, One Mission, and it's guidelines for administering the USCCB national collections. That document really challenges dioceses to review their processes and how they conduct the collections. Those concerns that they have, I could see for our Diocese of Duluth existed with us too. We weren't very good at remitting timely, and I was concerned about the internal controls we had both at the parish and the diocese. I really was looking for some way to manage the collections more efficiently, to really ensure that the parishes were remitting timely, and that they knew what collections that we were really are responsible for taking up. And so that's really was the genesis for this tool, is really how can we better honor donor intent and making sure that these funds make it to their destination in a timely and effective way. The USCCB's document, One Church, One Mission, it encourages best practices in the diocese. Specifically, it says that these best practices should be highlighted and strongly encouraged in all the dioceses of this country. I'm interested in developing best practices. I want to be able to say that I've done everything I can to ensure that our funds are well accounted for, that we're responsible in timely remittance. This tool, I think, really gives me an avenue to say that I have a best practice here, and that I'm really honoring the people who are very generous in giving to these collections by saying, I've put into place controls and a tool that really ensures that that they're giving to this particular collection makes its way in a very efficient and accurate way to its final destination, benefiting very worthy causes throughout this country and throughout the world. It's incumbent upon all the CFOs to really look at the guidelines and seriously address the issues there. And I think to do that, you need a tool. And we found Points North, and we're able to develop a valuable tool that really helps the diocese be accountable for the requirements of those guidelines. And I think it brings great transparency, and it strengthens internal controls. It makes me more comfortable as a CFO for our diocese that that I'm doing my job in ensuring that donor intent is honored, that we're timely, that the collections are intact. If there's any finance officer or CFO in any diocese of this country that would like to discuss the collections administration tool, or want to know more about my experiences with it, I'd be happy to discuss that with them. I think, again, it's a great tool. It has great value in helping me really administer these collections in a responsible manner that honors donor intent. The benefits that I've seen since implementation really have been more awareness of the required collections that the parish needs to take up, providing guidance on the due dates, and just getting a little more framework and establishing a formal process, I think was really important for the bookkeepers who in most cases are responsible for these collections at the locations. We had a collection come due here last week, and I utilized the email notification about a week prior, reminding everyone to remit all of their funds and close the collection in the system. So I sent that out. It went to roughly 54 people responsible for collections at the locations. Right now, the national office sends us reminder letters saying that this collection is due. With this tool, I know clearly what's due, and it's on the dashboard essentially that I need to remit a particular collection by a certain date. So it holds me accountable at the diocesan level of remitting to the national office on a schedule. And that wasn't there before, and I have to admit that, you know, in the busyness of our office, and we're a very small office, that we were late on some collections. And that's, I think, what prompted this document from our bishops, is they needed the location, the diocesan locations, to be timely in sending to the national office. The Diocese of Duluth has a very small staff for in the business office. So I certainly am not going to reduce the number of staff I have, because there's just 3 of us. But what it will lead to is more effective use of our staff time, and which is very important. Everyone in my department is wearing a number of hats. And one of the hats that we've had all along is administering the national collections. With this tool, I expect to be utilizing their time much more efficiently, certainly in sending like the email notifications, reminding them of due dates, and also in just ensuring that we're remitting the accurate amount to the national office, given what we've taken in from all of the locations. So it's really a more efficient use of staff, so that, you know, I think the savings will really allow us to spend time on other needed areas in the diocese and in the business office. At the Diocese of Duluth, on an annual basis, we report the total collected for each location along with our annual report, and that's published in our diocesan newspaper. What this tool will allow us to do is to really track giving at a location level and really honor those locations that are doing an excellent job in promoting particular national collections. Right now, all we do is we publish the total collected for the diocese. What I really plan to go with this is to be able to honor parishes that are really promoting it. One of the attractive components to this tool is really it really brings a greater awareness of the national collections to the locations, and in a way it even promotes them. For instance, during our implementation, we found a number of locations were unaware of a particular collection. So, you know, I really expect an increase in what we collect for the national collections, just through the greater awareness of them, and also really bringing it home to each location that, you know, you need to remit funds for this collection and also close it. So you're really acknowledging that you took it up and you sent everything and you're now closing it. Great promotional avenue for these collections. And it really, because of the dashboard for the collections, it keeps in front of each location what is upcoming and what's due. And so that continuous acknowledgement of or radar of the national collections, I think, brings greater awareness, greater sense of urgency that they're accountable for this and it needs to be addressed. That's really important from my perspective. It reassures me that the collection has been taken up and I've received everything that I should for that collection, and in the end product, it allows me to ensure that everything that I've collected at the diocesan level is remitted to the national office. Every diocese currently is receiving checks from their parishes for national collections, and they come in throughout the year from many locations. Somebody at the diocese has to basically process a deposit of those checks, and they're basically coding each deposit to the appropriate account. If the person coding those deposits miskeys an account or misinterprets a check stub description, the donor intent will no longer be honored. They basically are depositing it, and eventually the money will be remitted to the wrong collection. So with the collections administration tool, it really gives me a mechanism to validate what I should be remitting to the national office. With the collections administration tool, you basically are building a database of transmittals from the parishes. So essentially you're getting a receipt for or a document for every deposit given to the diocese. And so that is a very strong internal control, because it allows you to verify how much you should have for a particular national collection. And it gives you enough detail to drill down into how much you receive from every location. So it's very strong in verifying that the check you send to the national office, you know, if it's $80,000, you know where every penny of that money came from every location. So there really is a strong control and to ensure that there's no errors in data entry, there's no errors in miscommunication and where a particular deposit should go. The implementation of the collections administration, I would say, went real smoothly for our diocese. We had 3 webinar training sessions and that allowed the individual bookkeepers to sign up individually for, they just called in and were able to observe it online. So, you know, they were 30 minutes apiece, and the feedback that I got really from it, a number of them really actually told me they didn't think any training was needed on this. It was a very simple, straightforward program to learn. But it also allowed me to really monitor and gauge their attitude towards this. I explained why we were doing it, but this is where I got really interesting remarks from them about they were unaware of certain collections that should be taken up. It also really allowed me to communicate the expectations about how often they should remit funds for a particular collection.